Well, good morning, everybody. I am the Bald Guy. I am so thankful you have returned to wrap up Genesis chapter 3. Man, we have learned a lot, haven't we, so far? It's been awesome. Okay, so first we learned about the fall and the choice they had between the tree of good and evil, the evil tree, or the tree of life, the good tree, because remember, God said you can't eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He never said nothing about the other tree. So they could have went over to the other one after Satan tempted Eve and just did that, but they didn't do it. So they made the wrong choice there. Then we learned that God confronted them over it. He was waiting for them to come to him, but they didn't do it. And then we learned about his first prophecy in the Bible about Jesus, how he was going to come down and defeat Satan once and for all. It would be over, finished. Nice. All right. Then we learned about his judgment. Remember, this was not his, oh, what'd you do? This was, oh, what'd you do? It broke his heart. And so he had to lay down some punishment for him. That's what we do when we love people. Okay? And then we learned how he clothed man. Oh, pretty interesting on that, huh? Blew my mind. But we learned that. Now, we're going to look at how he cares about them. Okay? So, how he loves them, and he's going to care for them. He's going to make sure they don't live in this sin forever. So, what's the first thing he does? After all this punishment's laid down, God says, okay, they cannot get to this tree of life, because if they do, they're going to eat on it, live forever in their sin. No, we can't have that. Okay, I have a plan later. Okay, and they're not going to skirt judgment. Skirt judgment. Do we do that? I think we do. Yeah. So what does he do? Yeah, he puts fear into them. 2 big angels and a great big flying sword. Puts right in front of that tree of life. Is anybody going to go near that thing? No. Imagine the fear that Adam and Eve felt when they saw those things appear out of nowhere and right in front of there. And God says, no, you're not going nowhere near that thing. So, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go down closer to the river, and there I'm going to teach you how to live. I'm going to show you how to do everything, so that way you can live this new life that you chose to live. Consequence of sin. So, chapter 4 kind of delves right into Cain and Abel, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of stay with this for a few minutes, and I'm going to talk about how he cares for Adam and Eve after that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a map at the end of this video, and you can kind of see where they lived at and where the garden, where most believe the garden was. Now, the big question is, what happened to that garden afterwards? Well, remember, sin entered the world. So therefore, everything started dying. Well, within a course of time, the garden died. Some believe that when the flood happened, it just wiped out the garden. I believe it wiped out the rest of the garden, but I do believe that during the course of time, before the flood, is that the trees and everything in the Garden of Eden just withered away and died, because that's what happened. Because sin entered the world and everything started dying. Nothing was eternal no more. Except God, folks. So, what happens? God sends them that way. And he is with them the whole time. Don't think he wasn't. Don't think he just cast them out there and let them be on their own. Remember, they have the mind of a maybe 2-year-old. They have no clue how to make a tent, how to do anything. Okay, remember how we talked about God didn't kill to clothe them, actually put clothes on them, but he taught them how to do it? Now, this is what I believe. Okay, now remember, the Bible doesn't give into details on a lot of stuff, but this is just where I'm sitting at. From this point on, he teaches them how to till the ground. I mean, he is there with them the whole time, just like a father teaches his son how to do things, how to fish, how to hunt for food, how to do all this stuff, how he is going to be able to survive in this new world. How he's going to be able to tend the sheep and use the sheep to get clothing and things like that. So you can just kind of put yourself in that time and kind of see them learning how to do all this stuff. And before we get to Cain and Abel, I imagine it was quite a few years. And before Cain, and then Cain and Abel were born, and then Adam and Eve had more sons and daughters, and the population started expanding. Because remember, Adam lived a long, long time, folks. Long time. So, we know that during that course of that time, and we're counting from the time that the sin happened, not the time they were actually created. Okay, so this course of time expanded for a while where God had to teach them all of this stuff, how to tend the sheep, how to fish, how to do this stuff, okay? How to make a net so they could fish, okay? They didn't just, magically appear. God didn't make a tent and, make a cane and pole and say, here, this is how you do it. No, he showed them. Okay, this is how you make. This is what we do with our kids, okay? So this is what I believe happened during that course of time, is that God was teaching them how they're going to survive now. And what to do about everything from this point on. He was giving them sort of the commandments on how to live, how he wants them to live from this point on, how to fight off that sin and still worship him. He was letting them know, and us later on, that yeah, he still loves us and cares for us, and he wants us to teach our kids that same thing. Okay? Because he's going to be there, but we're not going to be able to lay our eyes on him. There was only a few lucky ones way back 2,000 years ago that got to see him again. Lucky them. I can't wait till we get up there and see him, because we're headed there. Okay? If you believe Jesus came down, he died for you, then he rose again on that third day, man, believe it, live it, because it happened. Okay? All right. So we kind of know all about that. Again, take a look at that map at the end of this video. Kind of get the picture of where the garden was, how they sort of, God led them down to an area to be able to live. But I do believe they could still see that garden. They wanted to see what God wanted to make sure they knew what they had left behind. So I do believe it was close, that they themselves, their house was close to the garden, but I do believe it's closer to the river, so they could get all aspects of life, how they were going to live now. They were going to be farmers and fishermen, and they had to learn how to do this stuff so they could pass it down to their kids. So some of their kids would turn into fishermen. Some of their kids would turn into musicians down the road, and down the road that they would learn how to. Some would be farmers, some would tend the sheep, some would stay in it and learn how to run the household. You see? So there were just different aspects of life that they had to learn how to do, and they had to teach their kids. They're going to have to teach everyone, and their kids were going to have to teach their kids. It's kind of what we're supposed to be doing, but somewhere along the line, we faltered. We stopped teaching our kids. We turned into, I want to be your friend instead of your parent. Shame on us, okay? Remember, God is our parent, and we are supposed to be our kids' parents. Start acting like it, okay? No more of this best friend stuff. They have friends they can go to, okay? You're supposed to be a parent. You're supposed to love them, care for them, teach them. And teach them God's way, not the world way, okay? So, now we're going to delve into chapter 4, because I see my time is limited, and we're going to learn about Cain and Abel, about all of Adam's kids, how Cain and Abel got married and all this stuff, and the first murder, the actual first murder in the Bible. That's another reason why I do not believe God had killed an animal, because this was the first actual murder, where the first blood was actually shed. Get that? The first blood was actually shed. It says that later in the Bible too. So That's why I kind of believe that. And learn about where he settled. So take a good look at that map, kind of learn, now that we've kind of delved into a real good history and real good lessons throughout this historical account. Now we see the actual beginning of mankind. Now we get into the good stuff. And you also can see in this map, you're going to be able to tell how the earth flooded too. Because picture it. Earth was water, and there was only one big stretch of land. Okay? That's what God originally had. What we see now, with all of the land that's out there, that was after the flood. Okay? So we can explain a lot if we just actually think about it. Okay? So I am the Bald Guy. I hope you enjoyed this kind of wrap-up of 3 and where we're at so far. I can't wait to get into 4 with you. And until next time, I'm out of here. Have a good day. Have a blessed day. Have a thankful day. Thank Him. Pray. Love you guys.